Have you ever been in the middle of an argument, completely certain that you were right, determined to explain yourself calmly, only to feel your throat tighten without warning? Your chest burns, your heartbeat speeds up, your voice begins to shake, and before you can stop it, tears start rolling down your face. The worst part is that you are not crying because you are sad. You are crying because you are angry, frustrated, overwhelmed, or desperately trying to be understood. Yet the person standing in front of you often misreads what is happening. They look at your tears and assume you are weak, overly emotional, or unable to handle conflict. Some might even say, "Why are you crying? It's not even a big deal." And in that moment, the argument is no longer about the original problem. It becomes about your tears. Suddenly, you feel embarrassed by your own body, almost betrayed by it. You tell yourself you should have stayed calm, you should have sounded stronger, you should have looked more confident. If this has ever happened to you, I want to offer you a completely different perspective. Because what if everything you believe about angry crying is backwards? What if your tears are not evidence that you are emotionally fragile? What if they are actually evidence that your brain is working overtime because you care so deeply? Think about it this way. During most disagreements, many people stay emotionally distant. They argue, they defend themselves, and then they move on. But for you, the conversation is never just words. It carries meaning. It affects the relationship. It challenges your values. It touches your sense of fairness, respect, or identity. While someone else may be operating at half capacity, your emotional engine is running at full power. You are not giving 50%. You are giving everything. And just like any engine pushed to its limits, your system begins to heat up. That is why today we are going to decode one of the most misunderstood human experiences, angry crying. We will explore why your body reacts this way, what your brain is trying to accomplish, and how you can stay in control without fighting against yourself. To understand this, we have to leave psychology for a moment and look at biology. Imagine a marathon runner pushing toward the finish line. Their muscles generate enormous amounts of heat, their heart pounds, their breathing becomes rapid, and if their body cannot regulate that heat, the entire system begins to fail. So what happens? The body sweats. Sweat is not a sign of weakness. It is not proof that the runner is failing. It is actually proof that the body is protecting itself while continuing to perform. Emotional tears during conflict work in a surprisingly similar way. When you enter a heated argument, your nervous system accelerates just like an athlete sprinting at maximum speed. Stress hormones flood your bloodstream, your heart rate rises, your muscles tense. Your brain detects that your emotional system is approaching its limit. Instead of allowing you to completely overload, it activates a built-in cooling response. This response involves the parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes called the rest and recover system. Its job is to reduce excessive arousal and prevent your brain from remaining trapped in survival mode. One of the visible side effects of this shift is tears. In other words, your body is not falling apart. It is trying to bring itself back into balance. You could think of angry crying as emotional sweating. Your body is releasing pressure before the emotional engine overheats completely. That simple shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of saying, "Why am I so weak?" you can begin asking, "Why is my nervous system working so hard to protect me?" Another reason your tears appear has nothing to do with weakness and everything to do with survival. Imagine that, inside your mind, lives an ancient bodyguard. This bodyguard has only one mission: keep you alive. The problem is that your bodyguard has not updated its software for thousands of years. It still reacts as if every serious confrontation is happening in the wild, where a single fight could mean death. It cannot tell the difference between arguing with your partner, disagreeing with your boss, confronting a family member, or facing a predator. To your conscious mind, it is only a conversation. To your nervous system, it can feel like a life or death emergency. The moment voices rise, facial expressions harden, or tension increases, your ancient bodyguard assumes danger has arrived. It immediately begins searching for ways to protect you. One of those protective responses is crying. At first, this feels incredibly unfair because it seems like your own body is sabotaging you. But from your body's perspective, is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. Interestingly, scientists have discovered that emotional tears are more than just salt water. Human emotional tears contain chemical compounds that are different from ordinary reflex tears caused by dust or onions. Research even suggests that tears may carry subtle chemical signals capable of reducing aggression in other people. Whether someone consciously realizes it or not, tears often interrupt conflict. They shift the emotional atmosphere. They make people pause, soften, or lower their intensity. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Early humans who could reduce violence during dangerous conflicts had a greater chance of surviving. Your tears may actually be one of the oldest conflict resolution tools your species ever developed. They are not trying to make you lose the argument. They are trying to stop the conflict from becoming even more dangerous. That realization completely changes the story. Instead of seeing your tears as betrayal, you can begin seeing them as an overprotective friend trying a little too hard to keep you safe. The problem is not that your body wants to protect you. The problem is that it sometimes overestimates the danger. Once you understand that, something powerful happens. You stop fighting your own biology and start working with it instead. Now let's talk about what you can actually do when you feel the tears coming. The first thing to understand is that in highly emotional moments, your thinking brain becomes less active while your survival brain takes over. That means you will probably forget complicated advice the moment you need it most. So don't try to memorize 10 different techniques. Choose one simple strategy and practice it until it becomes automatic. The easiest place to start is with your eyes. The moment you notice that familiar burning sensation behind them, gently lift your chin and look upward for a few seconds. It sounds almost too simple, but changing your eye position alters both muscle activity and your attention. Looking upward naturally shifts your focus away from the emotional spiral happening inside your head and toward the outside world. Sometimes that tiny adjustment is enough to interrupt the chain reaction before the tears fully arrive. If your emotions continue rising, bring your thinking brain back online with a task that requires real concentration. Slowly count backward by sevens from 100. 100, 93, 86, 79. Complex mental calculations force your prefrontal cortex to become active again, making it much harder for emotional overwhelm to completely dominate your nervous system. It is not about distracting yourself forever. It is simply about giving your logical brain enough time to catch up with your emotional brain before the situation takes over.